This video discusses interim checkpoint number 2. It's the reteach in order to allow you to retake. During this presentation, we're going to be looking at some of the commonly missed questions. A lot of the questions pertain to passages 1 and 2, the poem, and then an excerpt. Passages 1 and 2 are going to be in the video that we're going to watch today, and then we'll look at some of the commonly missed questions. Some of the standards that were commonly missed were analysis of the lines of a poem, comparison of two texts, so source material, so what does one text take from another, and then the tone of a poem or the tone of a piece. So the first thing we're going to do is actually listen to the poem that you were supposed to read during the interim.
A thousand martyrs I have made, all sacrificed to my desire. 1,000 beauties have betrayed, that languish in resistless fire. The untamed heart to hand I brought, and fixed the wild and wandering thought. I never vowed, nor sighed in vain, but both, though false, were well received. The fair are pleased to give us pain, and what they wish is soon believed. And though I talk of wounds and smart, love's pleasures only touched my heart. Alone the glory and the spoil, I always laughing bore away. The triumphs without pain or toil, without the hell, the heaven of joy. And while I thus at random rove, despise the fools that whine for love. So think about the tone of this poem. Think about what the speaker is trying to convey, especially about love and the speaker's experiences with love. Are they good, bad, otherwise? Is she sad? Is she angry? I would say a lot of it is more or less contempt against the idea of love, against the idea of seeking love. She kind of takes advantage of the people that she comes in contact with. The speaker doesn't have to be a girl. I just gave her a feminine identity, so consider that. Some questions that you're going to encounter will be tone questions. So what is the tone? You'll get questions that pertain to comprehension of the poem and thematic questions.
Okay, so the first commonly missed question with reference in which pertains to the poem that you just read is this one on the screen. The question is, read these lines from the poem. And though I talked of wounds and smart, love's pleasures only touched my heart. And I understand why this question was missed, because you have to look at this part. Love's pleasures touched my heart. Okay? The question is, how do these lines reflect the theme of the poem? Okay? Remember we talked a few days ago about one idea of this poem would be like love him and leave him. Okay? That's what the speaker probably subscribed to. So the options are: the words reflect the insincerity of the speaker's appeal to emotions. The lines are a statement of the speaker's embarrassment. The lines imply that the speaker has felt passion deeply. The lines show that the speaker has never felt romantic love. Okay? We can rule out this one. The speaker is not embarrassed. Okay? The speaker is actually very, very strong in his or her beliefs about the idea of love. Okay? And we can rule out this one. The lines imply that the speaker has felt passion deeply. Because if you look at this right here, like I said, love's pleasures only touched my heart, not my soul. Okay, so we have to keep that in mind. Only touched my heart. And when you feel love like very passionately and deeply, it's mind, body, and soul. It's not just your heart. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're considering the answer. Okay. The next question that was missed is read these lines from a poem. Alone the glory and the spoil, I always laughing bore away. So kind of like, ha ha ha, I got them. How do these lines reflect the theme? Okay, so this is very similar to the last question. They reveal that the speaker enters relationships for her own amusement. They tell the reader that love is glorious and nothing can spoil it. They reinforce the idea that the speaker is a soldier, or they show that the speaker's relationships are cheerful and loving. Okay, one There's one answer that sticks out that's different from the rest of them. Okay? The other one, if we're looking at the idea that she's kind of laughing at what she's just done, I keep giving her a female role. She might not be a female. But anyways, the speaker is laughing at what he or she has just done in relation to having relationships. Okay? So the relationships probably aren't cheerful and loving. The speaker's not a soldier. There's nothing in the poem that talks about the speaker being a soldier. Okay? So there's probably only one answer that's correct. And then the next question that was commonly missed, the first stanza discusses the beauties with whom the speaker was once romantically involved. So we actually have to probably assume that the speaker is a man, because beauties tends to refer to women. Not always, but generally. What does the line, "in languish in resistless fire," mean? Okay? And languish kind of means just take it all in. Okay? The beauties sit by the fire and dream of their time with the speaker. The beauties still burn with longing for the speaker. The speaker sits by the fire and dreams of the beauties. The beauties have been permanently scarred by the speaker. Okay? It's probably not this one. The speaker sits by the fire and dreams of the beauties, because the speaker loves them and leaves them. The beauties still burn with longing, possibly. The beauties sit by the fire and dream of their time with the speaker, probably not. Okay? So we have "in languish in resistless fire." Okay? Think about that. And then we have, I think this is the last question pertaining to the poem. Read these lines. "Alone the glory and the spoil I always laughing bore away, the triumphs without pain or toil, without the hell, the heaven of joy." And we looked at this question in our review session for the interim. What tone does the imagery in these lines create? Think about that. Triumphs without pain. I left this love, this relationship, without ever getting hurt. Okay? Is that a lot of people said mischievous? That's incorrect. Okay? It might be this one. Just saying. And then we're going to go on to listen to the next passage.
Damon and Pythias. There once lived two men called Damon and Pythias. They were both lovers of truth and integrity, and in all the city of Syracuse they could find no one who upheld these principles so well as each other. Dionysius was at that time the ruler of Syracuse. He wielded complete authority and very often abused his power, for he was hot-tempered and imperious, and anyone who angered him was put to death. One day he was informed that a young man named Pythias had been heard complaining against the cruelty of Dionysius. No one was allowed to criticize the ruler, and Dionysius condemned the youth to die. When Pythias learned of his fate, he begged to be allowed to return home to set his affairs in order. "How far away is your home?" inquired Dionysius suspiciously. "And how may I be certain you will return?" "My home is many miles distant," replies Pythias, "but I have a friend, Damon, who is willing to take my place while I am away." There was a stir amongst the bystanders, and a man stepped to Pythias' side. "I am Damon, my lord," he said. "I will give myself up as a pledge of my friend's return, and if any accident befalls him, I will die in his stead." What does it remind you of? Does that remind you of possibly the Hunger Games a little bit? The tyrant was amazed by this generosity and gave Pythias leave to depart, fixing on the day and hour of his return, and warning that he would not fail to exercise justice on his friend if he did not arrive back in time. The days passed, and the morning dawned on which Pythias was to have been executed. Still Pythias did not appear, and the people of Syracuse said that Damon would surely be killed. Oh no! Everyone was agreed in condemning his behavior as rash and foolhardy, but Damon himself was the happiest man in the prison. He was filled with hope that his friend would not return in time. Remember that both of these men hold very dearly integrity. And he was led out to execution with a cheerful face. Dionysius had come to see him meet his death, and called out to him in mocking words. So, Damon, where is your friend of whom you were so confident? I fear you have allowed him to take advantage of your simplicity. It is impossible for me to doubt my friend's constancy, replied Damon. Perhaps he has met with some accident along the way. At that moment, a horse broke through the crowd, and Pythias, travel-stained and weary, half fell out of his saddle and ran to embrace his friend. I came in time, he gasped. My horse was killed, and I could not find another. Thank heaven I am in time to save you. But Damon did not want Pythias to die. He pleaded with him to allow the execution to continue, and Dionysius watched in disbelief as each friend eagerly sought to give up his life for the other. Cease these debates, he exclaimed, stepping forward and taking their hands. I hereby set both of you free. Never in my life have I seen such loyalty, nor did I dream such a thing could exist. I beg you will accept my pardon and allow me to share your friendship.
Okay, so the first question with relation to that passage is that was commonly missed. Which event causes Dionysius to change his mind about Pythias' fate? Damon befriends Dionysius. Dionysius sees the selflessness in the friendship. Pythias feels remorseful for criticizing Dionysius, or Dionysius convinces Damon and Pythias of the right rule. Consider what happened. What made Dionysius decide that he did not feel like either of them needed to die? Okay? That should be a pretty simple question and answer. The next question, which sentence from the passage supports the answer in part A? Okay, and this would be, you have to make sure that you choose the correct answer for this question. Okay, it might be this one. And then you have to choose the textual evidence that supports part A. So he pleaded with him to allow the execution to continue, and Dionysius watched in disbelief as each friend eagerly sought to give up his life. Okay, and remember, we're talking about selflessness. At that moment, a horse broke through the crowd, and Pythias, travel-stained and weary, half fell out of his saddle and ran to embrace his friend. Okay, Dionysius had come to see him meet his death and called out to him in mocking. Okay, probably not that one. When Pythias learned of his fate, he begged to be allowed to return home to set his affairs in order. Okay, this one should stand out to you. Okay, both of these seem like they could be correct. Okay, but one is more correct than the other. The next question pertains to this image, so take a good look. We have soldiers, we have the king, we have somebody who's about to die, okay? We have somebody jumping out of the crowd right here. So this is the story, so just keep that in mind. Here's the question. Which elements are common to both the text and the part of the image labeled C, which is this image, okay? Which elements, okay, select each that are correct. The tyrant Dionysius is part of the execution. Okay, so do you see Dionysius? A row of soldiers observe the chopping block. Okay. People wait expectantly for something to happen. Do we hear any of these, either of these, in the story? Pythias bursts through the crowd. So think about these. Do we see either of these in the story? We see them in the image, but are they in the story? Okay. Which statement expresses a key element of the Damon and Pythias tale in the passage and in the image? Okay, the image emphasizes the crowd of the people, but the passage does not. Okay, both the passage and image emphasize Pythias. Both the passage and the image emphasize Dionysius. The passage emphasizes Pythias, but the image does not. Okay, so look back at the image. Who are each of these people? Dionysius right here. Okay, which one is the most emphasized? Okay. So here's what you need to do in order to be able to retake. Send your teacher an email, make sure it's to the correct teacher. Okay, so check your syllabus if you don't know. Subject line, interim assessment number 2, retake. Message to the teacher, hello, insert the teacher's name. The retake password provided in the reteach activity is, okay, and you have to have the password. I plan to retake on this date, thanks, and then insert your name. Here's the password, turkey sandwich. Please make sure that you send that email. If you do not, you will not get privilege to retake. Talk to you later. Good luck.